Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. We start off all of our services, at least on Saturday, with our morning blessings, our Birkot Shachar. The way in which we start our services is one that's an ancient way that really encourage us to open our eyes, to get a new perspective, a new way to look at things that maybe sometimes we become just accustomed to looking at them as though it's just same day, different stuff. And that is such a soul killing, a soul destroying attitude. And the attitude that we look to take is one in which we look at the world as though it truly is a miracle in front of us, an opportunity in front of us, a new pair of glasses that we are deciding to wear. And that's how we look at gratitude this morning, with a new pair of glasses, that these brachas, these blessings that we have, we're taking off what we think we know, what we think we've experienced, and we try something new. What better way to end this secular year for the next month is to try and get a new perspective, a new idea, and allow others the opportunity to have that growth and change as well. So I'm here, as always, with our cantor Ray Cohen, and we will start with page 146 with our morning blessings.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sechli bina lehavhin ben yom u'ben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani betzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzarki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher chekin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layaf koach.
We turn our attention to the end of Pezukei Zimra on page 218. Shochen ad, you who abide forever. A shochen also is someone that dwells. It is a neighbor, a person that you are intimately involved in, that you live close by with this person. Isn't it true that we all live in a world in which we have people that we live very close, in close proximity to, and that we share our lives with others? It's impossible to live in this world without impacting other people. And how is it that we are going to go through our lives knowing that that is the truth, that we impact others? If you look at this prayer, it really talks about God being upright and lauded and praised and righteous. What kind of environment do we create? Do we create an environment that our neighbors and the people that we touch in our daily lives feel as though that they can be praised and lauded, and a warmth that they feel coming from us? The choice is yours. Shochen ad.
Shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'katuv rananu tzadikim b'Adonai l'sharim nava tehila b'fiv sharim tithalal u'v'divrei tzadikim titpara u'v'lshon chasidim titromam u'v'kerev kedoshim titkadash Uv'machalot rivavot amcha beit Yisrael. Shaken chovat kol hayitzurim lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu lehodot lehalel leshabeach lefire leromem lehader Levarech leoleo kales, al kol divrei shirot batishbachot, David ben Yishai abdecha meshichecha, Yishtabach shimcha lad malkeinu, ha'el. Berachot v'odot me'ata ve'ad olam, Baruch atah Adonai, El melech gadol batishbachot, El ha'od Adon haniflaot, Abocher b'shirei zimra, Melech el ha'olamim.
Turn now to page 224, and as we have gathered to worship as a community together, we blend our voices and join our hearts. And even though we are separated physically, we sing and express our heart's desires with our voices and our thoughts, knowing that those prayers come together as our communal prayers. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or v'rei hoshech oseh shalom u'v'rei hakol. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who forms light and creates darkness, who ordains the harmony of all creation. On page 228, El Adon.
El Adon al kol hamasim, Baruch v'ora b'fikol neshama, Gad lo v'tuvo mahalei olam, Da'ad u'tvuna sovev imoto, Hamitgaeh al chayot hakodesh, V'nedar b'chavod al hamerchava, Zechud u'mishor livnei chiso, Chesed v'rachamim livnei chevodo, Tovim me'orot shabara Eloheinu, Yitzaram v'dad b'bina uv'haskel, Koag v'ura natan bahem, Liot moshlim b'kerev tevel, Meliim ziv umfikim noga, Na'ezivam b'chol ha'olam, Smechim b'tzeitam b'sasim b'voam, Osim be'em ha'ratzon ekonam, v'chavod nodim lishmo, Zachal averina lezecher malchuto, Kara l'shemesh v'yizrachor, Ra'a v'chitkin surad chavana, Shevach nodim lo, Kol tzva marom, Tiferet u'gedula, Seraphim ve'ofanim ve'chayot hakodesh.
To the hallowed God, they offer sweet song. To the living sovereign, they utter hymns. To the eternal God, they give praise. Before we sing Or Chadash and enter into the preliminary prayers for the Shema, just a few thoughts on this. When it speaks about songs and hymns and praises, there is no one way to approach God. That if you are better at, in this case, songs, or in the other case, hymns, or in other cases, giving praises, but we can apply those different ways to approach God to our modern understanding, that some people are better as they think and meditate, others are better as they express through prayer, and some are great at how they interact with other people. The question ultimately isn't how it is that you approach God, but it is that is our desire. Our desire is to move one step closer to fulfilling and being a part of our Creator's plan, or Chadash.
Or Hadash al Sion Ta'ir, v'nizkech ulanu mehera le'oro. Or Hadash al Sion Ta'ir, v'nizkech ulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot.
With abounding love have you loved us, Lord our God. Grant overflowing tenderness have you shown us.
Ahava rabbah havtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, vitera amalta aleinu. Avinu malkeinu, ba'avur avotenu, Shabbatchu b'cha, Avinu malkeinu. V'lamdem chukei chayim, Ken tahanenu telamdenu, Avinu ha'av harachaman, Amrachem rachem aleinu. V'tein belibenu lehavinu hashki lishmoa, lelemodu lelamed, lishmor velasot. Ulkayem et kol divrei, Talmud Torah techa be'ahava. V'ha'er enenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levavenu, v'ahava ulira et shemecha, v'lo nebosh le'olam va'ed, v'lo nebosh le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kadshecha, Hagadol v'hanora b'taknu, Nagila v'nizmecha, b'shuatecha.
Gather our people in peace, O Lord, from the four corners of the earth as we gather our tzitzit and prepare for the Shema.
V'havienu l'shalom, me'ar b'kanfot haaretz, v'tolichenu komemiut, le'artzenu. Ki el poel Yeshuot ata, uvanu v'charta mikolam v'lashon, v'kerav-tanu l'shimecha hagadol, Selah be'emet, lehodot lecha, u'yachedcha be'ahava. Baruch atah Adonai, avocher be'amo Yisrael, be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol meudecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom alevavecha, ve'shinantam levanecha, ve'dibarta bam, ve'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'shachbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, ve'hayu letotafot b'eineinecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha.
The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make fringes in the corners of their garments throughout their generations, putting upon the fringes of each corner a thread of blue. Look upon the fringes, you will be reminded of the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray to the inclination of your heart or by the attraction of your eyes. Thus will you be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God."
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Emet v'yatziv v'nachon v'kayam v'yashar v'ne'aman v'ahuv v'chaviv v'nechmad v'na'im v'norah v'adir. U'mitukam mekabel v'tov v'yafeh adavar hazeh. Aleinu le'olam va'ed. This teaching is true and enduring. It is established and steadfast. It is beloved and precious, pleasant and sweet, revered and glorious. It is good and beautiful and eternally right. The reason we say this prayer is, does it not link us up with every Jew over the generations who have said this prayer, the Shema, and the paragraphs after the Shema, and it has put us together, and it truly has. Whether or not we theologically debate what this means, that's not really relevant. What's relevant is that we as a people have engaged in this study. We have engaged in these prayers. We have engaged in these acts, these mitzvot, for generations. And those actions and those engagements have created a community, an attitude, and an experience for us as we do for our children. We continue with the preparation for the Shachrit, Shabbat, Shemona Esrei on page 252.
Tehilot le'elyon barhum vorach, Moshe u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shirah, v'simcha rabah ve'amru chulam, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohora tehilot, o sefeleh. Shirat Asha Shivchu Golim L'Shimcha Al Safat Hayam Yachad Kulam Hodu V'Him Lachu Ve'Amru Adonai Imloch Le'olam Va'ed Sur Yisrael Kuma Ve'ezrat Yisrael Ufedei Chinumecha Yehuda Ve'Yisrael Go Aleinu Adonai Tzavaot Shemo Kadosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Join the cantor for the first few brachot of the Shachrit Amida, which can be found on page 254.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Chazdei Ahavot U'Mevi Goel Livnei V'Neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Metim Atah Rav Le'Hoshiach Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechal Kel Chayim B'Chesed Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Rofeh Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishanei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umidom Melach Melech Memid Umachaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanata lechayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hametim.
Im Shalom, Tova, Vracha, V'Olam, Chen v'Chesed v'Rachamim Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael Amecha. Grant peace, goodness, and blessing to the world, grace, kindness, and mercy to us, to all your people, Israel. Bless us all, O Creator, with the divine light of your presence, for by the divine light you have revealed to us your life-giving Torah and taught us loving kindness, righteousness, mercy, peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel in every season and at every hour with your peace. Praised are you, our Lord, bestower of peace upon your people Israel.
Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen.
Yasher Koach to you, Cantor, and thank you as we enter into another week, a beautiful week, a week of where we enjoyed a Thanksgiving. And I know Cantor wishes you obviously a Thanksgiving. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And we have let the festivities kind of go, at least in our home, at least until the leftovers are gone. So that's maybe how we mark it, and we have quite a few leftovers. So we will be celebrating Thanksgiving, presumably for at least another couple of days. In any event, one of the reasons I think on the side that Thanksgiving is so important is that oftentimes if you look at God's creation, many of us are focused on our bellies, on fulfilling and satisfying the desires, our basic desires. But what's unique about human beings is that, and what creates the difference between us and the other creatures is that once the other creatures have fulfilled their need to eat, they're okay. They stop, they pause, but not so with human beings. When our bellies are full, we then focus our attention on other issues, other problems, different things that come up. So part of that is how do we develop spiritually around that we as human beings, there is a part of us that is not satisfied. There is a part of us that wants to continue to grow. There is a part of us that sees that there is more to life, and life is bigger than just the existence that we're experiencing. Isn't that so? That we look at the world as though it's something a little more, that we want to expand into something a little more. That's why we do the Birkat Hamazon. That's why we bless after meals, knowing that we are satisfied, that we are okay, but that we need to bring sanctity into that moment so that we don't start focusing in on those things that will destroy. We focus in on those things that will build when we are satisfied. Knowing that that satisfaction, of course, if you were like me, after feeling so stuffed after Thanksgiving meal, what was it, an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, I need to be satisfied. Again, is that not the human condition? Just when we think we are satisfied, it only lasts just a moment, and then we need to turn our attention to a different part of our satisfaction. What we learn in this week's Torah portion is really, really important in that it describes the beginning, at least in my opinion, how we as human beings, individual human beings, certainly as Jews, but as individual human beings, how is it that we develop and create a spiritual relationship with God? And what does that mean? And what are the specific directions? How do we do that? Rabbi, how am I supposed to develop a relationship with God? How is it that I develop a spiritual relationship? Do those matter? Can't I just be a good Jew? Can't I just do what's right? What we look at this week's Torah portion is very important. That Vayetze Yaakov me Beersheva vayelech Harana. Jacob leaves Beersheba. Remember, he's leaving a part of his life which he must have been extremely frightened, extremely scared. His brother Esau, he had just taken away two major aspects to the future of what was Esau's future life, which turns into Jacob. He had taken his birthright and the blessing. His brother must have been upset. It must have been a time in which Jacob was really, really down, was really at a bottom. Isn't it true oftentimes that when we are at a bottom, when we are really in a tight spot, do we not look to something larger than ourselves? Sometimes in these terrible and horrible situations that we find ourselves, is there not at times a moment of clarity, a moment of reflection in which we look back and say, I'm willing to change, I'm willing to do something a little different? So he leaves that place. It indicates that he's no longer going to be stuck in that place. And in that moment, Vayifga, which is a very important word. It says in the English translation, he came upon a certain place, but it was a place, a pagua is a place of great impact, something that happens that changes your life. Can you look into a moment in your life in which you were 1 minute before and then another the moment after this thing happened? That is a pagua, a moment. And Jacob happened upon a place. So often these things happen in a place. If you look back at the most significant moments in your life, a marriage, a birth of a child, something that is moving for you that you were one way before and a different way after, can you not indicate that place? It was in a place. It wasn't just in your mind. It was in a real place. So he happens upon this place and he goes and he takes a little bit of a rest. And at this rest, he takes a stone and he places it under his head and he lies down in that place. And he has a moment and he had a dream. And dreams are really, really important. Certainly in the Torah, we can discuss this later, but isn't a dream really, at least in our modern understanding, our subconscious playing things out? And what is really at the core of a human being can be played out in their dreams. I suggest, just on the side, maybe write down your dreams and share them. But anyways, a stairway, and this is the dream, a stairway or a ladder, a sulam mutzav arza, that a stairway or a ladder was set on the ground and its top reached to the sky and angels of God were going up and down on it. And this is very, very important about one's spiritual journey, that for Jacob, his feet were firmly planted on the ground, and yet his head was in the sky. That we need to remember that we are here, that we are alive in this world, that to live a truly spiritual life, we observe this world, we live in this world, we experience this world, and that we cannot get too into the clouds, too into our own thoughts, too into our own psychological dramas, the made up stories that we tell ourselves. Oftentimes we live in memory and those memories are recreated. They might not always be the same as it actually was. Have you ever been in a conversation with a loved one and telling the story and they remember the story completely different? Who's right? Who's wrong? Notice how those words don't really help. But when we look back, we recreate those memories. So in a sense, we need to keep it here on the ground and not in some fantasy of what was and the images of what will be, the idea that we have a fantasy or an idea of what will come. How many times have we looked at a situation, something that is about to happen, a wonderful celebration or something that we don't want to do, and we look forward to it and we have these ideas of what's going to happen, and it never, if maybe rarely, it never turns out how we see it in our mind's eye. We keep firmly placed in the ground, firmly placed on where we are, so that we know what is our experience right here. God is in the now. What is happening right now is of the most important part of our experience. What happens now, not what was and not what will be, but what is. But that we could always think about how to lift ourselves up. And that's what Jacob does. Just the final sentence, and the Lord was standing beside him, and he said, that when we truly live that life in the now, right here, right now, with our feet firmly planted in what we are doing right here and right now, then we know that God is with us. That when we are here, and when we are here, and we are scattered, and we are not where we are not where our feet are, it is almost, if not impossible, to develop and have a relationship with God, our spirituality. This week, may we enter into a relationship with God, spirituality, others, in which we are here in the now. And this is the only place we will truly find relationships and truly find a relationship with God. We continue with Aleinu on page 480.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, Umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu shehu notei shamayim ve'osed haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim mimha'al ushvinatu zo begavei meromim Hu Eloheinu ein od Emet Malkeinu Efezulato, Kakatu Betorato, Be'yadata Hayom, Vahashevota, Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim, Vashamayim Mimha, Ve'al Haaretz, Mitachat, Einod.
For sovereignty is yours unto all eternity. You will reign in glory. As it is written in your Torah, the Lord shall reign forever and ever. And it has been foretold, the Lord shall be sovereign over all the earth. On that day, the Lord shall be one and shall be acclaimed as one.
Kakatuv b'Toratecha, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
May the memories which we cherish and lovingly now recall inspire us so to live that we too may bequeath a heritage of precious memories to those whom we shall leave behind. This week's yard sites: Gail Levy, sister-in-law of Sharon Charo; Anna Bloom, mother of Jay Bloom; Herbert Charo, father of Mark Charo; Mindy Flancer Lou, daughter of Harriet Flancer; Anna Shakova, grandmother of Olga Kusid; Hyman Tratner, father of Ken Tratner; Roger Brown, brother of Rosalie Goldenberg; Jack Goldenberg, father-in-law of Rosalie Goldenberg. Bono Shalom, Elohei Ruchol Dechol Basar, master of the world, God of the spirit of all flesh, it is revealed and known before you that it is our desire to praise your name. May our yearnings and prayers find favor in your eyes and be accepted and received before you. May you grant hope and healing to all who suffer, and may we soon be able to once again safely gather in holiness and joy. May your name, God, be elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign everywhere. Osei Shalom ben Ramav, Huya Osei Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. God who makes harmony and peace in the heights, grant us harmony and peace here for us, for all Israel and all humankind, and let us all say Amen. Yasher Koach to you, Cantor. We conclude with the classic Adon Olam.
Baruch to Rabbi, to you too. Adon Olam asher malah, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'ed natsa v'hevzah kol. Azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimlok nora v'hu haya v'hu oveh והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, בלא העוז והמזרע, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן ואירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.